Hi, this is Josh Emery with Relationship Architecture. This is part 3 of our 3-part series on conflict resolution. Part 1, we talked about removing the sense of urgency that can build up during conflict. In part 2, we talked about being respectful to our spouse when we're engaged in conflict. In part 3, we're talking about looking for this desire to resolve and have resolution versus just winning the argument. And you can think about how many times in conflict with your spouse or with someone else, you've just set out to actually win the argument or prove your point. At the cost of maybe hurting them or damaging the relationship, what did you really gain? So the perspective of looking at this as it's a resolution for your marriage. You can win, but if your marriage is not winning, you're not really winning. And I think of two different types of people. We have a peacekeeper and we have a warrior. And a peacekeeper is someone who's looking for ways to make connection, looking for similarities and things that are going to be sustainable for a relationship to grow. Where a warrior is typically driven and passionate, but really only for their own agenda, a selfish agenda of their way at all costs. And I want to encourage you to be mindful of identifying where do you fall in that. Are you a peacekeeper? Are you looking for ways that are you looking for ways to make a connection with your spouse and resolving conflict and drawing closer together? Or are you looking just for your own agenda to be met? Are you a warrior who's setting out to exploit the weaknesses of your spouse just to get your needs met? Or are you looking for ways to make a connection with your spouse that's going to have reciprocal benefits down the road? You know, back to this war analogy, it's losing a battle perhaps to win the war. A battle might be an individual conflict that you have. And let's say you lose that battle, but you win the war. Well, isn't that a better result? Losing an argument occasionally because you don't want to engage at the level that your spouse is, or that you're willing to compromise and give in on the situation because it's actually going to bring you closer together? Doesn't that benefit you long term? I think it does. And I want to encourage you to enter in with the focus and the mindset of a peacekeeper, but have the passion and the energy of a warrior. You have a lot at stake as we talk about your marriage and your relationships, and I don't want you to take them lightly or feel defeated before you even start. So I'm encouraged that you're going to apply part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this conflict resolution and not have conflict be a barrier in your home where you're not walking on eggshells, but it's actually a peaceful environment that you guys get to be your best and you draw closer together as you move on. So I want to thank you for joining me today and ask you to come back and check out more tips we have on how you can better your relationships. This has been Josh Emery with Relationship Architecture.